Let me compare two models of God and the import of the second model when we think about what it means for prayer actually mattering. So, the first model of God, I'll call it the God of Augustine and classical theism. This God is outside of time, is immutable and impassible, which means can't be affected by anything we do and will have no change of mind. This God is omnipotent, so could control anything God wanted to do, and at least in some forms of Augustine, and God predestined absolutely everything that ever goes on. So outside of time, unmoved or unrelated, omnipotent and predestining. If that's your view of God, it's the I can't understand why you might get motivated to pray a petitionary prayer. At least I
Hmm.
can't. Maybe someone else can. Actually, I have friends who have that view of God, and they would say they pray because they're trying to obey God. It's not because it makes sense to them. It's out of obedience. But the God who's outside of time and foreknows everything, it sounds like the future is settled for that God, especially if that God predestined everything. And even if God didn't, and God's omnipotent, God could fix whatever you're asking God to fix, even if you never ask it. And if God is not relational, God's not going to be affected by anything you do anyway, which prayer is something you do.
Yeah.
So that classic notion of God shouldn't motivate people to pray. Now, here's the alternative, and the one I affirm. First of all, I think God is relational. That means whatever I do, and prayer is an action, it's going to have some effect upon God. Secondly, I think God moves through time, moment by moment. That means that what I do in one moment, say, actually will have an effect upon God's experience in that moment, and God might act differently in the next moment because I prayed in the previous moment. So, this notion of God in time matters for prayer. And I think God is not omnipotent. So, my prayers about God fixing things unilaterally, those aren't going to ever happen because God can't fix them. However, I do think God exerts influence and God takes up into God's self, moment by moment, everything that happened, and that can present new possibilities or opportunities in the future as God interacts with me in creation. So we got this God who's affected by me moment by moment, moving through time, taking up everything that happens, using that to interact in the next moment, and a God who's not omnipotent and so actually needs our cooperation for love to win in its fullest. That's a view of a God I think that can cohere with a notion of prayer.